So for foreigners coming to China or working with Chinese people are still very open to business. If you look at the Belt Road Initiative, they do welcome. However, I think the Chinese people do expect them to respect.
Welcome to another episode of YanaTV. Today our guest is Benjamin Cheng, who is a business consultant, speaker, coach, and trainer. And we're going to be talking about what it means to be Hainanese in Singapore, working with China, and see where this conversation is going to take us. Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's demystify the word. Hainanese. So what kind of dialect is it specifically?
Well, my father, at the age of 9, came from an island south of China called Hainan Island. And he took a boat and came to Singapore. So my ethnic dialect group is Hainanese.
So your father and probably your grandparents, right, were born there and grew up there. And so here you end up growing up in Singapore. How was that growing up in Singapore when you were little?
My dad is a seaman. Well, at the age of 9, he was a coffee boy and surviving through Second World War.
Wow.
At the age of 19, he followed an uncle onto a boat, working his way from an apprentice for over 30 years in his career to become the chief engineer on board a ship. In those days, the technology of the boats and the ships are not very advanced. But he'll be away for 3, 6, or even 9 months. So, number one, I grew up quite lonely. I learned a lot of things on my own, but probably that also helps me because I love to explore. Mm-hmm. And that puts a curiosity in me where I have a curious mind until today. By the way, I'll be very honest, I'm already 53 years old, and so I'm entering middle age very soon, as they say. And so growing up, those days we weren't very rich. We are a very simple family, and my mom being a homemaker, my dad is a sole salary, and they put the 5 children through college.
Mm. So your parents, of course, then didn't go to college, right? So you and your sibling were the first generation who went to college.
Correct. And recently, my mother just celebrated her 92nd birthday.
Oh, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Your mom.
She is a real fighter in life,
Yes.
very strong lady, very strong-willed, very strong-minded.
So it means that you come from a very humble upbringing, and also with your father traveling a lot and not being home because he has to work. So and here you are spending so much time by yourself and with yourself, and mom clearly, right, being busy with so many kids. So how do you feel all of that helped you to become who you are today?
I think what happened over the years is that because I'm the youngest, I have to play a lot by myself, and I have to imagine a lot of things. So probably because of that, I dream a lot. And until today, I'm still dreaming. Because I'm a dreamer, I'm very curious, and I'm willing to try things. And so by trying, sometimes you do get hurt. Sometimes you do make mistakes. And from there, you learn it yourself. I wish someone would be there to tell me along the way to do this, not to do this, to do this, not to do this. However, probably that has also developed a self-learning mechanism within myself. Because in my family, nobody has gone into business. I'm the very first.
And you're a business consultant now.
I'm a
right?
business consultant.
So you have to educate yourself, and now you also help other people to transform and optimize their businesses.
Absolutely. And because my mom, being a very conservative lady, when I was growing up, she says, study hard, get a degree, find a wife, get married, have children, work all your life. So what I'm trying to say is, however, because of my upbringing and the experiences, the setbacks I had from very young, or even at the age of 27, 28, I failed in one of my business, and I put my hands into many different things. I realized one thing, that I love this adventure, that life is an adventure, and I think I'll never want to retire. I think it's so much fun. Why do you want to ever retire? So again, that's probably what sets me up to become who I am.
When you said that your business failed when you're 27, 28, what did you learn from that?
What did I learn?
Or how did it impact you?
Okay.
Tough questions today, I
What,
know.
what happened was at the time, I really wanted to try my hand in business. I was an engineer. And I said, if I ever want to fail in business, I better try and fail it before age of 30. Actually, I said the wrong thing. I should have said, if I want to succeed, I should succeed before age of 30. I didn't know that.
The mind, right?
Exactly.
You're
But
programming yourself.
nobody taught me that.
Yes.
And so when the opportunity came, pumped in all the money I had, borrowed some, and it looks like a good business opportunity. However, the business partners that you have really plays a big part. Because I was young, I was innocent, ignorant, full of vision, full of ambitions, and just try it. But because I failed at such an age, today when I look back, if I failed and I didn't die, I survived, I can continue to try. But of course, nowadays when I ever get involved in any business, I become wiser. Because at least
Clear boundaries, probably, right?
I will say that I think not many people, there are a lot, but there are a lot of people also have never took a step to take the risk to be an entrepreneur, to be a business person. It is a fun journey. It's scary. It is scary. But when you've done it once, then you realize, I failed once. Well, actually, I failed more than once, but, and I look at myself, I'm still around. I'm still alive.
So you can trust also in your capacity to actually, learn things and reinvent yourself.
Correct.
Right? This is probably, and it's interesting again, because now with the work that you do, and I would like you to share a bit more, especially about the China aspect. So I'm just curious, how is business in China?
Let me start by saying that I'm pretty privileged because in my secondary school, I studied both English and Chinese first language. And therefore, I am able to read, write, and converse in Chinese or Mandarin. And what happened is, over the years, as you look at in the 80s, when Deng Xiaoping decided to transform China into an economic powerhouse, it took them 40 years, 50 years to be where they are over the last 40 over years. And what happened is China has gone through different phases. We don't have time to go into that. However, there are some fundamental things within the Chinese roots and is ingrained within us a couple of things. Number one, we still believe a lot in relationships. Mm-hmm. Very strong. Sometimes relationship, but may not have business.
May not have business, right?
But if you look at business, there are some transformation. However, it is very much that relationship where you have a group, and in the clan, where we call it, especially we know each other. What I know is in China, especially if I have a business and it's for such a big pie, I will get some people I trust to take care of this part, take care of that part. And together, they grow their wealth together. And that's a very strong part in China. But unless you are trusted by them,
and unless you're part of this tribe,
unless you're part of
you're
this,
not going to get peace in a big business venture, right?
Correct. And so being the same dialect group plays a big part. And but of course, China is now transforming with technology, with the advancement. The management style has also learned. They're also learning a lot from the West. So they're developing a lot of things on their own. For example, you look at China, their economic model is very unique in itself. Right? It's so unique. And as I said, I don't have time to really go into that. But how is business in China? Every province, every city, every industry goes through different transformation. And it's very difficult to have one statement to say, China is doing good, China is doing bad, property is bad, property is good. There are indicators and the price has gone down. However, China, because of the Chinese, the way we look at money and handle money is very different from the Western world. Chinese, by nature, are savers. They tend to save money for the future. So as much as younger generation like to stretch, the spending pattern is very different from the Western world. The Western world is a very consumer market. If you look at China, everybody say the property price has gone down. So my question is, how many Chinese people has gone bankrupt because of that? All right, people can do their own research. So what I'm trying to say is, because of the Chinese culture of trying to save for the next generation, a lot of times as much as they spend, however, they're still pretty conservative in their spending. They spend within their means. However, there's a trend that the younger generations, the spending is changing. Again, it's a very big topic. But we're looking at the technological advancements of China. Look at Huawei. Look at the electric vehicle. I was in Hainan Island in October. The number of brands of EV just is shocking. Brands I've never seen, never heard.
It's interesting, right? You have been sharing all those experiences about being part of the club or part of the clan or tribe, you could say. Are there women there?
Of course.
Okay, so sort of it's not gender, I guess, exclusive.
If you were to look at gender, China, because if you look at history from a communist background, the ladies are very highly respected in China. Looking at during even those days, early years of the war, there are ladies because they play a big part and because they believe in equality. I was in this part of China called Qionghai. It's another city, and they have a statue of a lady, and that's the lady where she is like a war hero. So China, interestingly, they have a pretty high standing when it comes to the society of China.
Interesting. And what about expatriates, like foreigners, right? So people who are non-Chinese and like maybe other Asians or Westerners from all kind of other countries that would like to do business in China.
So for foreigners coming to China or working with Chinese people are still very open to business. If you look at the Belt Road Initiative, they do welcome. However, I think the Chinese people do expect them to respect them.
Expect them to respect them, yes.
I think that's
How do you show respect in China?
the Asian culture, we are not so upfront. We are more subtle. I don't say, I'm Benjamin Cheng, I'm good, I'm best in this. We don't do that. We like people to say, this is Yana, she's very good in that. So we like the indirect approach a little bit. And so
So I can say this is Benjamin and he's really good at that, but you can't say it
you.
yourself. Yes, and then you humbly say thank you.
And so there is that part where the Western world are more direct.
Yeah.
I'm good in this, I do that. And so there could be a clash of culture.
So it comes a bit of arrogance, right? Sort of it could be perceived as you sort of coming across as a bit of an arrogant or maybe too pushy, too full of yourself, and then people don't trust you, right?
And then a lot of people look at Asians and says, are you guys confident enough?
I hear it very often, yes.
You guys don't talk about yourself. You don't seem confident. Again, it's a very cultural thing. Not just Chinese. I'm speaking for a lot of across the Asian culture. Tend to be a bit more indirect, a bit more. I think they believe in, because of our upbringing, believe in humility and respect for the other person. And so if you come across respectful, I think they can accept people from any part of the world easily. They can accept that and they can do business with you if you are sincere.
So if you're being sincere and humble, this is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're coming from the Western world, sort of don't open, the door with your food and start yelling how amazing you are, right? Send some presents, maybe it's always good, and be gentle about how you approach people.
That's right. And in the Asian culture, many times we do believe in still hosting people. So when they come over, we host them for a meal. When we go over, they host us for a nice meal. However, I know the Western world, they like to go on Dutch.
This very often happens, yes. I mean, never in Asia. You
Never
never
in Asia.
do this when you
I'll
host.
pay for you and all that. I'll pay for a meal, you pay for a meal. And again, that's a very cultural thing. One story, we were having a dinner with some people in Singapore, and there were Western people with Asian people. And then after, when we decided to settle the bill, and there was a question of how much is it, and it was about $50 per person. No names mentioned. Someone just threw $50 into the table. Literally throw.
Yeah, which you don't do.
It's for us, from Singapore, we do understand the different culture. We sort of understood what happened. this third person doesn't mean to be rude.
Yes, it is just not aware of the cultural aspects. So what would be then the correct thing to do for a foreigner in this situation?
To ask. I think it's always to ask.
Okay.
And to observe. Because interestingly, the Western media covers everything about the Western world.
Yes.
Sadly, they don't even know Singapore exists.
Well, that's why we're having this show. So we are, bringing more opportunity for people in Asia to just showcase themselves and, for their voices to be heard. And also, in a way, it is edutainment, right? That's why we're not lecturing anyone, but instead, I'm learning here. So I'm doing it, right? I'm the one who's asking questions.
Yeah.
But I also hope then the audience learns through our conversation.
That's right. So if you look at two culture, one, China, media control, US media,
not interested in the Asia, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, in anybody else except them.
Except US.
So when two persons from two different culture come together, you realize that there's a huge misfit. And so Singapore, as much as we are very small, we still can play a huge part in being the bridge for these two, because we are aware of both sides. So we are the best position.
Yes,
Singapore is the best.
yes, and also there is a great level of tolerance here. Like as you said, I hear it often from expats, even though I don't like the way when they say that Singapore is an Asia for beginners. I kind of find it's a bit a strange way to say it. I can't agree with this. It is, to me, just people are just more understanding. And the tolerance, again, is a bit higher here. Mm-hmm. So it's just with your example, even if someone does something which is culturally is not correct, no one really going to hold against, because they will understand, okay, maybe you're new here, you don't know the rules, so we pretend we have not seen that.
Yeah, it will take a while. And again, even America, the culture over the years, the 60s, 70s, the hippies, and then today, you look at the music, you look at what they're going through, right now they're thinking. China, same thing, over the years. Singapore, over the years, our younger generations. And so for the next generation, really, if Singapore will continue to really survive and do good, we have to be the connector. I think the word is we are the connector, because we can connect in terms of language, we connect in terms of culture, we can help to mediate a lot of things. Because first and foremost, the moment you can help both sides respect each other's culture, you can start the conversation. Because if you don't understand each other, you can't even have the next sentence of conversation. And that's it. It's game over. So I think it will take a lot, because the world is a very diverse place. As what you mentioned, Singapore is not only tolerant, we are the country that really works very well with diversity. The gender differences, you look at our acceptance level,
ethnicity,
age,
religion, I mean everything.
Race, we are the one that really shows the world that which other country in the world has as much diversity as Singapore?
I don't know one. And I traveled, I think, all over the world. So that's why I love Singapore.
Countries.
Yeah.
Singapore. I'm a Singaporean.
You see, which is an example. I mean, in how many other countries you would actually have people who look so different, like let's say like you and I, and we would hold the same passport, and there would be peace around it. And so in Singapore, so like from my experience, for example, was very interesting that actually how happy local people were and how welcoming. I'm like, wow, that's very heartfelt.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Coming back to China, doing business with China, again, different states, different provinces are a little bit different. Example, Beijing is very different from Shanghai. One is a political center, the other is economic center. Then you look at Shenzhen, Guangzhou, very different, a lot of production. It's just, let me draw an example. New York is very different from Los Angeles, which is very different from San Francisco. Florida is very different. Washington, D.C. is very different. Again, the people group, or even India. You talk to people from New Delhi, it's very different from Mumbai, very different from Chennai. Yes. So again, China is so big. When people come to me recently, they said, oh, I heard the economy of China is no good. And my question is, which province? Which specific part of China? Which industry are we talking about? Yes. Their EV is doing fantastic. Right now, you look at the phone, their BYD, and it's doing very well, giving Tesla a run for the money. You look at their mobile phone, Huawei, Oppo, and other brands, Xiaomi, especially Huawei is doing fantastic. And so, which industry are we talking about? Right? And again, I just want people to research more. and think about the question they ask. The more you research, you realize the more we don't know, which is making it even more fun.
Your children, you have two,
Oh,
right?
yes, children.
So that's grown up pretty much, finished high school?
Still growing up.
Still growing up. So when you look at them, you see then the younger generation. And of course, I mean, I can see you probably have been, are you a strict father?
Yes.
I think so, yes. You're probably a very strict father.
I
So
am.
here they are, grow up with you in a probably traditional, strict Asian type of, interactions and family with everything what it comes with. And so they're the new generation. It's still very exposed to the West and liberty and freedom, free of choices and everything. What is like the main message that you actually would like to say to your own children and everyone else who are around their age?
It's not easy being a parent. You hold the string too tight, you'll snap. You hold the string too loose, they'll run around. And so it is a balancing act. At times you need to pull a little bit. At times you have to let go a little bit. Maybe a little bit fishing. And so as a parent, together with my wife, what we do is sometimes I hold the rein a bit tighter. Or she's the one that does
A bit more liberty.
a bit more liberty and let go. And from there,
It's like a good cop and bad cop.
yes,
In a way.
I'm the bad cop.
You're the bad cop, yes.
And the only way I can do is to create an environment for them. And as they get information, we only can lay the certain foundations. However, as they grow up, they have to decide what kind of life they want. They have to decide what kind of person they want to become to the society. And as parents, that's all we can do. Because everyone has their own mind. And as much as we can influence, but it's their decision, ultimately. And we have to respect that. And so, how are they going to grow up to be? Me and my wife try our best, and we hope that they have the best from us, and wish that they become good people, that's all. I mean, what else can I hope for?
Thank you so much, Benjamin. That was a fascinating conversation about culture in China and Singapore and languages and ancestors and children and doing business and also common ground, right? Culturally, common ground. So thank you for joining us today, and absolutely would love to hear from you guys. Do we have here Chinese? Do we have here expats? Do we have here any other nationalities listening to us today? Please connect. And I love how Benjamin shared today that it's all about finding the common ground. And we might look different, we might speak different languages, believe in different things, but fundamentally we're all humans, and that's where we are connecting. And thank you very much to Muse Studio for hosting YanaTV. We love being here. And for you guys for being such a great audience. And if you would like to support us even more, so please share this episode with friends, invite someone to subscribe to our channel, and I'm gonna be seeing you next time.
And of course, for people who live in Singapore long enough, we have a very famous cuisine called Hainanese chicken rice, and everybody has to try it.
If you're a foreigner visiting, absolutely try it.
Absolutely.